So first of all, can I just get you to introduce yourself and what it is that you do?
My name is Martin Hutchinson. I'm from Manchester, and this is Starsky. He's from Portugal. We call ourselves the 21st century environmental explorers. We're not activists, we're not environmentalists. We're just looking at what's going on in the environment and documenting everything we see. We're just exploring everything in the 21st century to do with our environment, and that's our point.
Perfect. So first of all, what's brought you here to Dundee?
Well, we're going around the UK now looking at what people are doing and documenting it. And the idea is to show other people what people are doing. It's an amazing amount of things going on that people just don't know about. And that's what we're trying to do, is highlight other people's actions, because it's absolutely incredible. And it's a very, very exciting time when you start to see what is going on.
And that kind of addresses what my next question was, which is just what is the whole sort of purpose of your kind of cycling around the UK? Is it that just to kind of meet and explore what people are doing?
Yeah, basically to highlight what people are doing, to show them and to encourage other people to do the same kind of things, all to start thinking what they can do in their village, in their towns. And to the idea that, oh, it's only me, it's not only you. A lot of people are doing amazing things, and it is a very, very exciting time to be out there looking. And because people are thinking and questioning and looking at alternative ways of doing things, and it's incredible.
And you've spent a long time on this journey and other ones, and what is it that keeps you motivated, that keeps you going every day?
Well, I've been on the road now for 16 years. The first part I walked 34,000 kilometres across 21 countries. Then I cycled 35,000 kilometres with Starsky around 16 countries in Europe. We live on the most incredible planet. Everything that you see is incredible, how it's here, from the trees, the flowers, the mountains, even to the human beings. They're absolutely incredible, you know. They're just amazing, the variation of people and attitudes. It's incredible.
And have you got a sort of end goal in mind with your kind of trip across the UK?
Well, we're going to try and go around everywhere we can, for as long as we possibly can, and we don't know what's going to come next, because when I was in Europe, we were on our way to Australia. That was our plan, to be in Australia for 2030. And we all know COVID and Brexit came along, so it brought me back to the UK. So now, for the next maybe year or 2 years, I'll be going up and down the whole of the UK, covering as much as I possibly can, to highlight everybody's actions and to try to give a positive message around there that, you know, you hear the doom and gloom, but there's so many things going on, and it's incredible. Like, I've got a friend who does rewilding, who's actually letting the nature take over again. With Liz Taylor, not far from here, who's doing all the flower arranging and everything else. And it's all in her own spare time. It's incredible people doing things.
And are there any people that you've spoken to so far on your journey with the UK that have really stuck with you, and what they've been doing is sort of stuck out as something that you'd never maybe seen before?
Well, my friend Jason, who's now doing the seaweed tours, and he makes incredible food from the seaweed, and it's absolutely incredible. So there's one to say. He's a Maori from New Zealand in Scotland doing seaweed, so he's got quite a combination there, and he makes delicious food. My friend Roy, like I said, does rewilding. And then there's Liz who's doing all the flowers. There's so many different people I've got on there. It's incredible. Anyone's welcome to look at my YouTube. It's public, and you can see it. I think we're getting over 150 people we've interviewed, all different ideas. Even the men's sheds are quite interesting to go into and things. So there's just so many things going on.
And since you've been in sort of St Andrews and Tayside, Dundee, what sort of people have you met and come across? Maybe not even interviews, but just the people in general.
Well, I generally find they're always smiling. I mean, they're curious about the bicycle, and so they're always, and the dog as well. Obviously, Starsky gets a lot of attention. So it's been, yeah, very friendly welcome. But I have to say, I'm sadly to say, there's a lot of rubbish. It's amazing again. It's everywhere I go in the world, because I'm only 4 inches off the ground, and you don't want to look at it, but you can't help it. It's just there in your view all the time. The rubbish, and there is a lot of rubbish around Dundee. So please, if there's any litter pickers out there, I know you're doing a fantastic job, and you don't get appreciated for what you do. But if anybody else can help, and for people, just please think about where you're putting your rubbish.
And where next on your journey across the UK? And do you have as you mentioned earlier, do you have a set time that you kind of want it to keep going, or is it just go until you
We just keep going until we feel that something else comes along that's going to change it. I mean, we're going possibly up to Aberdeen, then we're coming down to Perth, then we're probably going down south again, back into England, then we'll come back up again. The weather more determines where we go, and I do like in Fife, so it might be some things we could do over the winter in Fife, maybe because, with the climate as it is, sometimes you just can't go any further on the bicycle. So if I can do some little help environmental projects over the few months we have to stay, then that'll be fine. That's something I'm looking at. But we're really looking for anybody in Dundee who's doing anything environmental, doesn't matter how small or how big it is. We'd like to meet them and highlight what they're doing. We're very interested in every aspects, and we just want to get it out there.
And what is life on the road like, and kind of life going around?
It's hard. It's actually hard in this climate. I mean, we've been used to Mediterranean, but you have to take the good and the bad with it. I mean, it is not easy. Everything. Oh, it's a wonderful life. Trust me, it's not. You wake up at some point and think, why am I doing this? So that it's not easy. I mean, it's cold, it's wet, it can be tiring. Well, it is tiring, and then you got to put a tent up at night and everything else. So it's not everybody's ideal.
I mean, you have been kind of all over the world, and what was it that made you kind of start the journey to begin with?
Well, I did sail away from England, but I lost my yacht off the African coast near Sierra Leone, and so that was the start of it. I was going to go to the Pacific to have a look at the garbage patch there for myself, but basically after that I had nothing at all. Everything I owned was on my yacht, so I thought nothing to lose. I went to Mexico, and I don't know why, I just started walking, and I thought, well, this is all right, and just carried on with that. So that was basically it, really. And it just developed more and more. The point of the walking was to slow down. That was the idea, slow down, and the idea was to sort of like look at what we're doing, and to sort of like, observation was a big thing. Look at the thing, just stop and question it. And I was doing that, but then I was sort of like questioning, why is all the rubbish here? Why aren't people taking more care?
What are some of the most interesting things you've seen on your journeys across the world and the UK as well?
Well, basically, I mean, the scenery is incredible. I mean, most people think trees are round, the trunk is round. Well, I went to Panama up at a volcano. It's the only place in the world where there's actually square trees. And not many people realise there's actually square trees on the planet. It's the only place they will grow is there. On the environmental side, the worst thing I've seen is a government truck dumping the rubbish into the Amazon River 4 times a day, and nobody does anything about it. I put it on the national news, I put it on BBC, I've put it all around it, and I had a petition going, but it's still carrying on, and no one will stop it, so I don't know what's that. But the scenery, I mean, Ecuador, the mountains, the snow-capped mountains, then you go down to the jungles, the beaches are incredible. Walking along the desert in Chile, when it flowers, it's the only desert that flowers. There's just so many wonderful things, and the insects, the flowers, and going through the jungles on your own is incredible, the sounds, and you're looking around questioning everything, and the insects. I was in a school in Panama right on the edge of the jungle basically, and the water's all white, and I stayed there at night. The insects would come, you'd never see them in the jungle. You question, where do they come from, and how do they get here? Because it's just incredible, the shapes, the colours, the forms, and that's what I show the children. You say, just look at this, So there's so many wonderful things. Sailing on the ocean is incredible, out there on your own. It's just a wonderful feeling, So, and I do say, and it may sound a bit childish, but I do say to children in the schools, the young children, your planet is your best friend. Look after it, and it'll look after you. And I'm sure of it, you just take care of it, and it will look after you.
And have there been any sort of difficult things you've seen? You mentioned the sort of truck. What was it?
In Peru, yes, in the Amazon.
Yeah, in the Amazon. Yeah. And is there anything else like that you've seen that you find quite difficult to take in?
I've come used to it all. I mean, I just seem to accept it, and how do I say? I always believe that things happen for a reason, and if this is the end of the human race, because if the dinosaurs were here, we wouldn't be here. Now they've gone, maybe we go, somebody else comes on. I try to look at it as broad as I can. It might make me angry at the time, but I don't know what could we do, what you can. But that's about it, really. I mean, I just seem to, well, that's human race for you, where does the human stupidity end, it sort of like makes me have a little smile, to be honest. How silly can you be? So that's how I look at it. I try to just put a smile on it and say, well, come on. So I say, we're just highlighting everything. I'm not telling anybody what to do. It's not my right to tell anybody what to do. I'm just highlighting it and making people think, well, we must do something to collective about it. So people who've got more power than me can make some action, you know.
And is your journey more about highlighting the good that people are doing and showing that maybe the one person that is doing something, you know, you're not the only person, people all over are doing it, more than highlighting what people aren't doing?
No, I have to say my beginning of it was all about, I've done 10,000 videos of rubbish to highlight what isn't going on. And that's the thing I was doing. I mean, if you go to my YouTube from October last year backwards, especially in South Italy and everywhere else, you just see videos of me filming the rubbish and questioning it and trying to do something about it by going to schools, going to newspapers, going on television and trying to get the problem solved. Now, I've just thought, well, there is so many other things going on. I mean, we've been dealing with litter now for 20 years and it's still going on. So now we're trying to highlight other things away from that, because other people are dealing with that, and I want to see other people looking at other things and maybe they want to do that and help. Because what way I look at it, if people start to look at the planet and respect it, they're not going to drop the litter. It's another way of looking at it. If you tell someone to not do it, they might not take any notice, but if you show them the beauty of something, they might think, well, I'm not going to do it. Let them make the decision.
And you said you've done kind of talks in hundreds of schools all across the world, and what was the sort of purpose of your talks, and kind of what were you telling the children?
Well, I was showing them their own area, showing the beauty of the planet, the dangers of the plastic, what you're using and everything else, and just trying again to highlight everything. I mean, I made 10,000 videos, so I could pick a video whichever I liked, or a few videos, discuss it, talk to them about it. That's the most important thing, and just me, Starsky and the bike coming along to school, it makes it different for them, you know. They take some more interest, I think, a little bit more interest, because some of the videos are quite dramatic, and then they start going back and questioning some of the things I'm talking about, which is good. I want everyone to question it. Then you do your own research. That's the most important thing.
And so how many schools overall have you done, and where are some of the schools that you've been to?
Well, we've done 752 schools. A lot of them were in Central America and South America. We did 147 in Europe. Sadly, we've only done about 8 or 9 in the UK. So if any school teachers are listening, I know it's summer now, but we can always try and work it in the future to come back. Or you can look at the YouTube videos on my channel and use them. The information's there for everybody to use, and that's the important thing. I don't have to be there in person. People can watch the videos and say, right, what do you think about this?
And you've obviously got your canine companion.
Yeah, good old Starsky, yeah.
A lot of your journeys, and could you just tell me the story of how you came together and how long you've been together?
Well, we've been together for 6 years now, and it was sort of like how it meant to be. I was helping out in the kennels in south of Portugal just for a few days because I wasn't feeling very well, feeling very weak. He come along and it was just like an instant bond, and I thought, this is stupid. I don't feel very well. I've got a bicycle. I'm going around the world. I want to take a dog. I mean, he's not a small dog either. He's now 30 kilos, aren't you? And it just happened, and it's been the best thing. Like I say, everything sort of happens for a reason, and he's been absolutely brilliant. I couldn't ask for a better dog. I mean, he's been in all the schools. He's been fantastic with the kids, and he does his part. He causes attention. People come and talk to him. Probably wouldn't come and talk to me, but they come and talk to Starsky. And another way I can get to them and explain what I'm doing. So yeah, like I say, he's a team. He's been brilliant with Starsky&Hutch, the 21st Century Environmental Explorers, out with Starsky, and he is just as good at it as me.
And you know, you've dedicated a long time to
Yeah.
journeys all across the kind of globe. And is it something you feel kind of gives you purpose going on these journeys?
Well, I think it's a personal thing. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a long explanation for that, but I think I'm doing what I'm meant to do for whatever comes next. You know, if I hadn't have lost my yacht, I wouldn't have doing what I've been doing now. So that happened. Didn't want it to happen, and it went through all kinds of things before it did happen. But it happened. It led to the next step. So I'm now 61. So when I look back on my life, everything seems to fit into place. So I'm very contented because I can see why everything happened and why I should have done this and why I did that. So I don't know what the end result's going to be, but I'm content with my life because I've done what I've meant to do. If I've been married with 2 kids, working in a factory or something, that wouldn't have been for me. That wasn't my life. So I'm very happy and contented with what I've done.
You obviously mentioned that again, you kind of lost your yacht, and have there been any other kind of stories of hardship you've had to deal with on your journey?
Well, again, I don't really think these are the hardships as such. I mean, they're always experiences. I mean, having two men chase you with an axe trying to get your camera, and if I hadn't have fallen over, they would have chopped my arm off. There was that one. Two men hit me over the head with a glass bottle. And they've all got little stories. I survived them. So yes, at the time it's like, ooh, what? But it's an experience. I don't want any more of those if I can help it. But yeah, everything. I mean, say if people live in their little comfort zones, and I think to get the best out of life, you have to sort of get out of that comfort zone, fall over, have these experiences, just to make more of life, I think. So as long as I survive the incident, I'm fine, I'm good. And very, very quickly, when I was after the hospital, I went to the police station, and the policeman said, "Are you hungry?" I said, "Oh yeah." So he gave me a meal, had the meal. I come out, I said, "What are we going to do about the people attacking me?" He says, "Well, people here are starving, people need hospital treatment, and people have died. You're okay, so off you go." And that was it. So yes, you basically, as long as you survive your problem, you just be grateful, and that's it really.
And
Yeah.
kind of on to my sort of final few questions. Do you have any messages for those kind of climate activists out there and all across the kind of the globe, but UK, Dundee, Tayside?
Well, I'm just grateful for what you're doing. I mean, a lot of people, that's what I'm saying, a lot of people take it on board themselves now. They're not waiting for governments. They're not waiting for this. They're, well, I'm going to do it. I've got this. I'm going to do this with my land. So I'm very grateful for people now who are actually taking the decisions themselves on board and doing it themselves. One example is a group of people that put all their old Christmas trees along the beach front to stop the erosion. No one told them to do it. They said, well, this is what we're going to do with our Christmas trees. And it made a difference. It stopped the beach from eroding. So people are doing amazing things. I just want people to start. That's why I want to go around highlighting, because I want other people to have a look and see what other people are doing. And that's my message. Please just look around and don't take it for granted when you see flowers, trees being planted. It's a council doing it. A lot of people are voluntary doing it themselves. And that's what I want people to realise. There's a lot of people out there working very hard that no one notices about, just to make your life that little bit better, you know. And you may just don't realise. And they have to out in all weathers. They sacrifice their free time, and they're doing it for the good of the community. So there's a lot of that going on. I just wish and hope that people will see it and join in, because we've got the power to make the difference, you know.
And just finally, do you have any thoughts at all at the moment? Obviously, one of the major things we're dealing with is the sort of rise of fuel costs, and a lot of people are taking sort of protests happening today across motorways in England and Wales, taking protests to that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, not to say, but I mean, the thing is I can't believe how they can keep putting these prices up, and people, there's a limit to how much people can pay. I mean, it's not just the fuel, is it? It's your electricity, your gas, your rates, everything else is going up. I would love to know what their game is, or what the government's end game is, because I think we've got to stand up to it. You know, it's just, after what we've just gone through, after 2 years of the COVID, and you do this, it just doesn't seem to be. I mean, I'm surprised that there's not riots in the streets. I don't want to say that, but people are very, very, very tolerant, and I think the government are very lucky, to be honest, that people are so tolerant. But I think there's enough now. People have to start taking action. I'm not saying violent action, but they've got to stand up and say that we've had enough, we can't carry on like this. We're in 2022, and it's got to stop, and that's it. And the change again to electric cars could be something. The funny thing I'm noticing as well, because of the hardship, we're going back to what it was like before. People are now not throwing things away, they're going and repairing them. So it is quite a huge change, and that's the exciting part again, seeing people take things apart, repair it and use it, and before just throw it away. So that's another change that's happening. So economically that's happening, and that's maybe a good thing in a way, so it's not all this throwaway society anymore. So it's a very mixed bag, but I would like to say it really is an exciting time. That's what's going on, really.
Perfect. And just finally, is there anything else at all that you'd like to add?
Well, I just really like to say to people, please look after the planet, respect it. It's an incredible planet. When you really stop and think about it, I mean, you've all got the things to think about. You've got worries with your families and bills and things, but just how everything works, it's just incredible. And just take a bit of time for that. if you see a bit of litter, you've got 2 seconds to pick it up. Please pick it up. If you see someone dropping it, just say, please don't do it. Same with cigarette butts. I don't think people realise how dangerous they are. And the new thing is vapors. Please don't throw those away, because I see so many on the road now. And it's got a plastic, metal, and a battery. So it gets in the environment, it just gets crushed by a car. So please start to look after it, and it will look after you. And I hope you have a fantastic future for your children and everything else.